welcome to another round of Rack Me to the Top tournament. This is round 2. Today we've got a match of Lady Deme versus PouletSansTete. And my name is Chai. I'm joined on commentary by Reven, who is currently starting our players, making sure that they're ready, and they'll be soon be able to start the match. Hello, Reven.
Hi, Chai. How you doing?
Doing great. How about yourself?
You know, I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. Let's just leave it at that.
That's good for you. So, for those
I'm
that
glad
don't...
to be here.
Glad to have you here. So, a few words about the game that we're going to be playing today. For those that don't know, Azure Dreams, it's an RPG roguelite game. What do we have here? We've got a tower with 40 floors that our runners will try to conquer. Every floor is filled with monsters that are trying to get in our way. And like in every roguelite game, we will be mostly depending on our inventory and monsters because we as a character are quite weak. So right now in the screen, our runners already started the game. We can see our first monster, our familiar, called Cuny. He's pretty dependable. He's gonna probably carry us throughout the whole tower, if the tower doesn't say no. First floor that we've got here is going to be a tutorial floor. Nothing special here. We're just going to find 5 items and one very simple fight and an elevator. Can you tell us, Reven, what are we going to find here exactly?
The items are going to be a copper sword, a wooden shield, a fireball with exactly 5 charges, and a randomly colored egg that's always going to be a palumpa, and a medicinal herb. And speaking a little bit on Kuhn, you would think that being your starter familiar that he would be, pretty weak and all of that, but all things considered, he's actually a pretty good monster to have, and a unique one at that. You can never actually get a Kuhn outside of the one when you meet him on the bridge there. They don't exist in the normal game. He's actually technically the last of his species, and he's actually not bad. The community might argue otherwise, depending on who you ask, but all in all, he's got some decent mixture magic, he's got some decent stat growth, and he's a unique one on top of that. So, can't complain too much.
Nothing at all, yeah. So what our runners are mostly going to be using is something called mixture magic, which is like a combination of an attack from a familiar and co. You could make it so that like co and familiar attacks separately, physically or with magic, but throughout the whole game mechanic is like created this way that it definitely benefits using mixture magic. Mixture magic grows stronger with both level of your familiar, or actually like a level of your spell of your familiar, and level of co. The higher the level, the more important it is to have higher level of co, because the level of the spell is sort of maxing out around level 9, 10. So our runners in the beginning will be trying to first find some items and level up a bit, so that they can handle that much tougher monsters that we can meet on higher floors.
Yeah, and already we can see how useful Kuhn is being with that mixture magic. Being able to hit certain monsters for that noise, for example, was an 11. Now that Poulet actually just hit a 13, it looked like, on a troll, you wouldn't be able to hit nearly that high with just a normal physical attack. So he's definitely useful in that he increases your survivability in that, he actually lets you be able to fight these things. If you had gone in here without Kuhn, these cyclones would be a real nuisance, and to the point that you would either be running away from them or probably using some kind of an item to deal with them. They're pretty strong for this early in the tower. Thankfully, Kuhn is actually got the elemental advantage on these guys, so it helps out a little bit more. Yeah, he can even hit a 6 himself already at level 3. That's not bad.
Yep.
That's not bad at all.
So yeah, that's one thing that Revan just touched. That is also important. This game has an elemental triangle. We've got 3 elements: fire, water, and wind. Fire beats wind, wind beats water, water beats fire. Cuny being fire gives you, when you are using a mixture magic, an attack of fire elemental, and fire is strong against wind. So cyclones suddenly become much more manageable. If Ko had to fight that cyclone on his own, he would be doing only like 5-6 damage, which would take like 5 to 6 hits to kill it, which would be probably too slow that cyclone could get rid of Ko. But thanks to Cuny and the fact that he's fire, it's much more manageable.
Shai, tell me, what kind of items are they hoping to find on these first couple floors?
So yeah, we mentioned how good Cuny is and how he's gonna help you fight. The problem with this game is that like the higher you go in the tower, the monsters are exponentially stronger than they are in lower floors. So most probably they will not be able to fight throughout the whole tower just with Cuny. That's where the items come in, and there are plenty different kind of items in this game that can sort of help you in pretty much every single situation that you can come up with. So every bad thing that tower can throw at you, there is usually an item to counter it. So one of the most strongest items that help you fight are spell balls. Ko on his own doesn't have any spells, but he can use spell balls, which are portable spells, and there are different kind of balls for different spells. There are attacking spells balls, mostly or basically only fire. Oh wait, there is one spell ball that is water, but there are also spell balls that help you avoid fights, like blinder ball or binding ball, which will make it so that the enemy is blind or paralyzed. So definitely those are one of the items that our runners will be hoping to find. Other than that, they will be also trying to find some other items that are sort of like one-time use, and thanks to that they will be able to avoid the fights. Like for example, a Tamna fruit that will turn enemy into a frog, which will not be able to attack, or Olim fruit, which is an item that when thrown at an enemy makes the enemy completely disappear. So those kind of items. But apart from that, there are also some items that can help you in combat, in direct combat of Ko and Cuny. Currently, like Revan mentioned, they were using Copper Sword and Wooden Shield, which are very basic starting items, not very helpful per se in fighting. So what they would definitely be hoping to find is a wand. A wand makes it so that mixture magic is much more powerful. And if you find a wand that has a matching element of your familiar, then the magic gets even stronger, makes it that like Cuny can be really, really, really powerful. And we could see it right now on Deme's, Lady Deme's stream, that she found a Gulf wand. It's a wind wand. Cuny is a fire monster, so she doesn't want to equip it yet, but she still picks it up because later it might come in use. And last item that they might be wanting to find is some better shield, because wood shield is quite bad. It has only 2 defense. That translates to 1 HP of damage reduction. What they would be probably hoping for in the early floors is a diamond shield, which is the strongest shield that they can find, or for later floors, a leather shield, which is not very strong in terms of HP reduction, damage reduction, but it has an inherent trait of higher dodge rate. And on higher floors, defense becomes sort of irrelevant, and the dodge chance is so high or high enough that it overpowers the fact that you can lower the damage by like few HP.
I like that Poulet, now that he's on the water floors, he's doing a bit of inventory management by chucking some swords at that bloom. That's a pretty neat ability that you can do. If you have an item that you no longer need, especially if it's like a sword or a shield, and you're not terribly high in the tower, like, 6 through 10-ish, you can get off some pretty easy damage by tossing them at different monsters. And oh, Poulet just found a Scarlet Wand. That is an amazing find.
That is exactly what we were hoping for in terms of fight. Scarlet Wand is a fire wand that will pretty much double the combat potential of Poulet. He will now be able to fight pretty much everything, even if it's a water monster, which, like we explained, is stronger than fire in terms of elemental triangle. But the damage is so high that even when you take a hit or two, you can still dispose of the monster. So
Oh,
yeah,
look
now
at
the
that
game became
damage.
much easier. Yeah, you can see a Cyclone. It's a wind monster and it dies in one hit. Previously it was what, like 13 damage or something like this. So yeah. We didn't explain it yet exactly what are the race rules, so maybe Revan, you want to take this one?
Well, for the most part, this is a vanilla any percent run. The only thing that's really been changed is we used the de-randomizer, which we can get into in a bit if we have some time. To skip the intro tutorial, we don't have to see the angel cutscene or Ko being born or any of that boring stuff, And we also ticked off the fast tutorial or fast floor 1 where we don't have to listen to Q and tell us how to play the game and how to pick up items and throw them and use them and all that stuff. And that's what made our items. If you've ever played the game before, you probably were a bit surprised to see all of the floor 1 items lined up very nicely in front of the elevator. That would be why it was the fast floor 1. Other than that, everything is left alone. So although the runners will have the same items in the tower, which is the main reason that we're using the de-randomizer for this tournament, just to make it a little more fair. So if the Scarlet Wand that Poulet has found on 6 or 7, I'm not sure what floor he's actually on, that will also be there for Deme if she happens to come across it. It's very possible that she may miss it if she doesn't explore the floor entirely or goes a different way. But the ability to find the same item is there for both runners.
Yep.
Which makes things a little more interesting, in my opinion.
Exactly, because then it's we've got the RNG in the fact that, like, of course, 2 runs are not the same, like between different rounds, because there are different towers, but in a single match both of the runners have exactly the same tower. There is a potential for the towers being a little bit different, but we will not touch it until there is a necessity. So right now we can see that, like, both of the runners will be facing exactly the same struggles, and it will be only up to them how they decide to go at them. So right now we can see that Lady Deme has already decided to use a Gulf Wand. So now her attack carries 2 elements, both wind and fire. So now if she's attacking fire monsters, she's a little bit weaker because of the fact that she also carries a wind element. But if she's attacking a water monster, her attack is a little bit stronger, because previously it was just fire, now it also has a wind, so there is some bonus from that. But like Revan mentioned, I'm quite sure that if Lady Deme finds a Scarlet Wand on next floor, she will switch to it immediately, because the damage increase is so huge that there is absolutely no reason to not equip it. So we are hoping for it so that Lady Deme will find it and make this match very exciting.
And Poulet found a nice monster train there using the monster loop item that lets it displays every monster on the floor on your mini-map, whether you've been in that room or hallway or not, which is pretty nice. And I assume he was using it to try to avoid as many encounters as he could. and he did quite well with it, finding that monster train going the opposite way and just casually walking right by him. Yeah, that Scarlet Wand is so good, making short work of Griffins in 2 hits at only level 8. It's so good.
Oh yeah, Griffins are actually like one of the strongest enemies on these floors. Starting from floor 10, we are sort of entering a town of fire monsters. Griffin is a fire monster, and while you can sort of fight it because the damage that you can do to it even without the Scarlet Wand is like okay. But the problem with Griffins is that like they hit you back really hard, so you cannot take a lot hits from them. The fact that Poulet has a Scarlet Wand makes it so that he probably has to take at most 1 hit from a Griffin, because with 2 hits, definitely that Griffin will be gone. And we can see that Lady Deme is now on floor 6. There was a wand there that I'm not sure what it was. I don't know whether she checked it, but do you remember, Revan, where exactly was that Scarlet Wand?
I'm pretty sure it's in this room, right? Or I could have. It might be that one right there. There we go.
Oh,
She finds
yeah.
the Scarlet Wand. Now we're in business. She just needs to
Exactly.
clear up a little bit of inventory space, it looks like.
Yep.
Yeah, there we go.
So one thing that we also didn't mention is like sort of like self-explanatory. It's a race, but the whole idea is, of course, to beat the tower, but not just beat it, also beat it faster than your opponent. And if both of our runners, for example, were not to beat the tower, let's say they die on floor 30, both of them, the winner will be decided by the fact who reached the floor faster. So currently we see that Poulet is on floor 12, Lady Deme is on floor 6, Poulet is in the lead, but there is still plenty of floors, plenty of things that can go completely like wrong way. So it's still like a match. With a Scarlet Wand, anything can happen.
Is it better on these water floors? Would it? Well, I guess we've already kind of been over that. Would still be better to use the Scarlet One, right, than having the golf one because of the double element.
Oh yeah, at this level, Scarlet Wand has such a good bonus that Golf Wand simply doesn't cut it. Unless Lady Deme decides to change the CUNY element to wind, because that's something that we didn't mention yet. You can change element of your familiar, and then using a different wand. So I guess Lady Deme kept the golf wand. Might be a viable strategy. So let's see whether that happens. Can you tell us, Revan, does it happen often in other matches that familiars change elements?
Depends on the runner. I know some runners are quite fond of having water familiars on like 30 plus. And I guess it also depends on the tournament setting as well, or whatever kind of spell you end up with. Because switching your element can definitely be an interesting part of the run. I know for Sand Knight is in the chat, and he's quite partial to the wind version of the Mirror ability, where it does the paralyze on hit. And I must say, after the last tournament, I kind of appreciated it a lot more than I did before. So, element swapping generally isn't something you're going to see until higher floors, but it's not uncommon. And there are ways that runners have to... There are multiple ways that you can go about doing that, between seeds or monster fusions and whatnot. And depending on how long you can hold on to that Palumpa egg that you start with, that can be a somewhat reliable method of getting your familiar to water element if you pick up the blue collar on floor 12 on your way up. Which I'm pretty sure Poulet skipped because he was off of floor 12 pretty quick, if I recall. But we could still see that from Deme's side.
Yeah, and I can see you, Sand Knight, what you're trying to say. No, I'm not spreading wind struts, although I do appreciate wind for what it is. Many people say that wind element is the worst in the game. There are reasons for it because uh, pretty much all of the spells in the game that monsters can use are fire. All of the scary traps are fire. So if you're wind in some way, of course you take more damage to it. Like, for example, we mentioned griffins. Griffins actually have a spell, the strongest fire spell in the game. And if your familiar was wind and Griffin decided to use the spell on your familiar, most probably it would be a one shot. So yeah, there is like some negative sides to being a wind element. But when you reach like higher floors like 20, 22, 25, there may be strong water monsters against which fire doesn't do much. And if you're wind, those monsters probably will die in one hit. So yeah, it has its uses. But like Revan mentioned, quite popular strategies like to start with fire and around level like floor 10 or 12 switch to water, and that can pretty much carry you throughout the whole game if you have the right items. But as our runners are equipped with Scarlet Wand, I don't think that they will be switching to water anymore, because the sheer fact that they've got this damage bonus from a fire wand that is matching the familiar element, that is good enough incentive to not switch to water.
Yeah,
But
the
Revan,
only way I could really see that is if they found a stream one, maybe.
what is
But
happening on Poulet's stream? Can you tell me?
oh, we're seeing the Barong Casino. He happened to get lucky enough to see there was a Barong following him when he rounded that corner. Oh no! Oh no!
Oh, Lady
Deme
Deme
is
is...
falling asleep in a tiny, and it just might be actually the monster train that Poulet avoided, and she looks like she got put to sleep by the Dreamin', who's out of MP now.
Yeah, she woke up luckily, so she
Yeah,
still
she
is in
can
the
still get out of
game.
this.
Yeah,
Yeah, she can kill this clown, although.
but then there is a
Okay.
troll behind her.
Yeah,
That,
exactly. The Dreamins aren't necessarily too much to worry about. But that medicinal herb helps out a lot. She should be in
oh
a
yeah.
pretty decent position at this point.
Yep, and it seems
There
like
we go,
she will
yeah.
be out of the trouble.
Now those Dreamins should be 1 or 2 hit with her Scarlet Wand. Yeah, she's fine now. Even if she
Yep.
does get put to sleep again, fingers crossed, she should still be alright. Yeah, she's only taking 1 damage from them.
Yep.
But the Barong is an enemy that you can find on floors 16, 26, and 36. They're supposed to be a rare spawn. I believe it's like a 1 in 16 chance that they'll spawn. And their special ability is that you can toss an item at them and they will turn it into a different item. And that item could basically be anything in the game. You could throw, a sea seed in there and get a roche fruit out of it if you're lucky. And for those that don't know, the roche fruit is another particularly great item, debatably the best item in the game. You can toss it at pretty much any monster you want, unless it's a Barong that's not out of MP. Don't make that mistake. It can turn the monster immediately into an egg. And you can get that, you can get holy and dark swords out of it. There's actually Barong only items like Paralyze and Sleep Herbs. And a Trained Wand, which is an interesting wand where it'll give you the damage bonus of having a wand, but it's also able to be strengthened with red sand, which normally only swords can do. Which makes it an interesting item to have. You don't necessarily gain the elemental advantage, but you do still gain the advantage of a wand and the advantages of a sword, and it can't rust, so it's pretty good. It's a pretty solid casual weapon anyway. It's something you should probably aim for in a casual playthrough. That or maybe a gold sword.
We've got a question from the chat, like, why are the pickets the best monsters? Maybe quickly, what are the pickets? You may have seen on Poulet's stream, they were like those uh, green goblins with two antennas on their heads. And why are they the best? They're not.
I was going to say the simple answer there is that they are not. They do have a few pretty interesting niche uses where you can actually identify items being cursed or not before you actually equip them, which it takes time. You can also do a duplication trick with them, although it's been found that you actually don't need your own picket for that. You can use a wild one. But yeah, they do have some pretty niche uses. They're actually pretty good in certain speedrun categories, and I use the term speedrun a bit loosely there because I'm talking about earthquake percent, which is next to like 100%, probably the slowest category that we have on the board. But their pickets are actually fantastic for that because of their diet. You can literally pick up anything off the floor between a coin, a pair of glasses, you know, an herb that you don't want, and they'll get 50 MP back out of it. So.
Yes, that's all fine and dandy when Picket is your familiar, but unfortunately sometimes we also meet Pickets in the tower, and that's when their annoying part comes into play. Because they're not really like tough monsters in terms of like attacking you. They usually attack you for one, but they've got double speed over you, so they will attack 2 times for your one attack. So they can like damage you for 2 every turn, right? But that's not the annoying part. The annoying part is that they can steal your items, and it's not fun when you've got like that really amazing item in your inventory that you're hoping to use, like a spell ball or a roche fruit, and they will be more than happy to steal it from you. The steal is random.
Yeah.
It happens.
And they like to they like to taunt you too. After they steal an item, they run up to you, and then because they have the double speed, they'll walk up to you and run away, so you can't really do anything about it. But while we were talking about excuse me, while we were talking about pickets, Poulet actually moved to and past Viper Town that quickly. We're now on floor 23 on Poulet's side and 14 on Deme's side. So there's a bit of a gap move going here, but it's definitely not over yet. If Poulet, for whatever reason, were to go down, we would get to see Deme try her hand at getting to just 1 floor higher than him in 33 minutes or so. So that's one of the interesting things about the tournament rule set is that you can have your own distinct playstyle. You can be fast and loose. You can be slow, steady, and methodical. And both have their merits, which I find rather interesting.
Yep, exactly. It's just part of the strategy. It's not that you have to like be ahead of your opponent throughout the whole game. It's just that at 1 hour mark you have to be above your like opponent in terms of like tower floor. So yeah, the fact that like Poulet is right now in the lead, yes, that's important to him, but it's far from being over. So let's see how Lady Deme handles it. Just like Revan said, as long as he doesn't complete the tower, those 40 floors that we mentioned earlier, Deme has all the chances to just go higher than him.
Poulet has quite an inventory. He had that Tumna fruit. He has 3 holy bells. The man is stacked to the gills.
Oh yeah, this is
Deme is not looking too bad. 2 holy scrolls, the Olim. She's not looking terrible either.
This is quite generous seed. We will mention it that the seeds were generated by Mr. Sennite, who is currently in the chat, and many people say always that his seeds are quite hellish, but it doesn't look like it yet.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I believe you. If I hadn't seen him actually generate the seeds firsthand, I would not believe that this was a Sandknight seed. These are far too generous from what I've seen.
Maybe it's quiet before the storm. You know, it's not the end yet. Anything can happen, and we can see some monster then or whatever.
That is true. This is only the first seed. There is usually one that's, you know, a bit nicer than the other two in his set of three. So maybe we're just opened up with the nice seed to give him a nice false sense of security.
Yeah, that to me sounds more like Mr. Sen Knight. At the moment, we could see that on Poulet's side, he had like few quite easy floors in that sense that he spawned right next to the elevator, so he jumped through them really quickly. But Lady Deme will see exactly the same floor layout, so she will have those floors too. Right now, Poulet is on floor, was it 27? On this floor, there is quite many wind monsters, very scary ones, and also a few water monsters that also hit like a truck. So yeah, Poulet probably wants to just go through those floors as fast as possible to get to floor 30.
It was a good thing that trap next to the snowman there was only a rush trap. That could have been real bad.
Oh yeah. That's the beauty about this game, that like you can have the best items, you can be in the best situation, but one bad move that might not always be even the result of your actions. It just can be a result of tower saying no, like for example a bad trap, etc. And such movement can change everything. You step on a paralysis trap and the monster is next to you and you can die in 2 hits. You can step on a sleep trap, you can step on a warp trap that will like move you away from your familiar, and suddenly the fact that you were able to fight pretty much everything thanks to the Scarlet Wand will mean nothing, because you won't be able to fight anything on your own with Scarlet Wand. So yeah, anything can happen anytime.
And now Poulet's starting to blow through his supplies a little bit here. And yeah, Kuhn's definitely gonna feel that one. Oh, and this is what we're talking about, guys. The unfortunate trap all of a sudden made that ice rock ball plan basically obsolete. And now he's gonna have to find a way to get rid of the.
He risked it,
no!
and that was a bad move because.
Oh no! Oh, can he even get out of this?
He's got.
Okay, he has the Olim. He has an Olim. Okay.
So the trap that he stepped on is a Chaos Trap that makes him confused. This game works this way, that traps usually affect the player, and by that I mean that they actually affect you when you're playing. So for example, when you step on a blind trap, the screen becomes black and you don't see anything. When you are confused, you press left and it can go right. So yeah, he was confused and he couldn't go where he wanted to go. Luckily, he had Olim Fruit that made the situation manageable, because he was able to get rid of the snowman. The thing is that when you're confused, when you're trying to move in a certain direction, it moves you in a random direction. But when you're throwing an item, it will always go in that direction in which you are throwing. So that was the thing that saved Poulet there.
He actually made a kind of a brilliant play on that last floor in the elevator. On these particular floors, there are the Maneva enemies, and when you encounter them on these floors, they have the ability to transform into items and other monsters at this point, being this high up in the tower. But more importantly, there were two copper coins that were right next to each other, right next to the elevator, and he was on fairly low HP. So instead of gambling Ko's HP, he actually picked up and tossed Kuhn so he could take the hit if it was a Maneva, and luckily enough, it was not a Maneva. But finding the same no.
Lady Deme can handle it
Okay,
still.
yeah,
She's got inventory. That's okay.
Yeah. She might end up losing Kuhn.
Let's see. I'm not sure that pickup was okay. We know what she's doing.
Oh yeah, yep. Okay.
Can you explain what happened? Why did she turn her beautiful familiar into a frog?
I don't know if I'm the one that you should be asking that. I believe you understand what's going on here a bit more than I do. But in the layman's terms, She picked up her familiar, and the tile has a friendly unit marker on it, and she turned her familiar into a frog, which essentially removed the friendly tile marker. So the game can see that there's something occupying the square there, but is unable to actually damage it. And there's, as far as I'm aware, there's only one monster that can actually undo this. And we're quite a bit away from well, Poulet's actually not terribly far away from encountering glaciers. But I think you should probably be able to explain that a bit more in detail than I can.
You've done perfect job. Long story short, it makes you invulnerable to any attack. So as long as she doesn't move in the tile, she can attack anything, she can recover her HP, etc. She was in a very bad situation. If she didn't do it, she was pincered by 2 trolls with like 5 HP, probably she would have died. That was the right play. She probably wants to stay in that tile until she recovers her HP to a level where she feels comfortable moving out of the tile and like going further to the elevator. But yeah, really great play from the Deme. That shows like how well she knows this game.
And the interesting thing about this tile immunity glitch is that there's actually a couple different ways that you can activate it, other than just the Tumnith thing that she did there. You can actually lift your familiar and send them home, which will essentially do the same thing, but you don't have your familiar anymore. And depending, if you actually have a familiar that's liftable that's not Q, you can actually do the same thing with a rose fruit.
Yep.
And there was actually a little bit of an interesting thing to the glitch there. When she brought Kuhn out, Kuhn actually stepped on the same tile as Ko, which is only, I believe, only able to happen with this tile immunity glitch, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, that is correct. That was the result of the tile immunity glitch. Lady Deme, okay, now she's in a good situation where CUNY recovered from the frog, because when it is a frog, it cannot help you, it cannot like contribute to the fight by giving you the power in form of a mixture magic. So fighting the troll was a little bit tough, but she used another really good item, Holy Scroll. If you throw it at the monster, that monster is your friend till the end of this floor. So right now that troll is gonna help her.
Poulet has reached the scary floors. His Kuhn just got punched in the face for 60 damage on a misstep.
Yep. In this floor's damage defense practically doesn't matter at all anymore, because pretty much everything can kill you into max 3 hits. So yeah, that shield there, it doesn't do much. What you want to do here is, first of all, not get hit. If you have to fight, make sure that nothing will hit you. Oh, that's a bad thing. Slow trap.
Yeah, that's slow trap. Hopefully he can wear this off. Yeah, okay.
Welcome people from SpeedGaming Espanol raiding us. We are currently in a game 1 of a match of Lady Deme versus PouletSansTete. Azure Dreams tournament tracked me to the top. You came at the right moment. There is still lots of excitement to be seen.
Poulet doesn't really have an effective way to deal with these. The golem. He can probably kill it in 2. Yeah, he can probably kill that in 2 hits with mixture magic. But a golem is not something you want to take a hit from. So he's gonna have to rely on that binding ball. Hopefully it has a few more charges in it. But without having a dedicated fireball at this point, golems are a bit dangerous. More so than usual.
I said earlier that like you can probably take a hit from a monster. With golems, it might be so that you cannot. If it's like happy enough, it can definitely one-shot you at this point in the game, with the level that Poulet has. But we can see currently that Poulet is on floor 38, Deme is on floor 18. Poulet still needs to do 2 more floors, and then he will complete the tower and win the game, or game 1. but it's not there yet. So let's see whether he can achieve it.
Yeah, that's probably the smart thing. Oh, his binding ball still has 5 charges in it.
That's
He
so
should be
good.
pretty set with that. Yeah,
Yes.
he's got to be feeling pretty good about that.
But the elevator is nowhere to be found. The more he explores, the more the chance to find another monster or another trap that can dispose of you very, very quickly. So, yeah,
Oh,
he's got the inventory.
he actually has a second binding ball. That's what. Okay.
So, what's gonna happen now? How is Pulek going to handle this pincer?
Uh,
Another binding, yeah.
Yeah, he has the charges
So
to
he will
spare
make
at this
Cuny
point.
take a hit. And yeah, there is the elevator. And
Yeah, I
Cuny
saw that
goes
coming.
down. Cuny goes down. So Glacier is one of those monsters that have quote unquote spell. It's not really a spell, it's an ability that throws an ice rock at you. And that ice rock also has an ability to push you away. We didn't see it here per se, but what we saw that Ice Rock was a water element. Water is strong against fire. Cuny is fire. It died in one hit. Long story short. But
And there
luckily for
it
Poulet,
is.
there he goes. He goes to floor 40, and that's game 1 for Poulet. I'm gonna let our runners know,
I
and
got it. I got it. I
you got
got it.
it. Okay, awesome. So what we can see right now is Poulet reaching top floor. He is now supposed to fight against the boss, but because this fight is scripted, there is nothing really here that our runners can do wrong to lose this fight. Although there is one glitch that you actually can activate to lose it. But the point is, the fight is scripted, so we are not making this fight part of the race. The moment they step on elevator on floor 39 and press yes, we want to go up, that's it. That's the end for the game. And as Pule was the first one to do it, that's game 1 for him. So our runners will be loading second seat soon, and we'll have more of the same. Let me give a point to Poulet, showing that he did win this game. Yes, now we can see a glorious apple next to his name. And yeah, that's how the fight goes. He goes to attack the guy hits back and pretty much kills him, leaving Poulet with 1 HP. And now the cutscene plays. We win. Long story short. We didn't talk much about the plot of this game. There is not much of it. That's why we usually don't talk about it too much.
Yeah, for the most part, you get the intro to the game, and then you get a little bit more once you hit floor 31. And then when you get to the top at 40, you get the last little tidbit. There's not really a whole lot to cover.
Yep. Yes, Cornhusker. Poulet was able to get to floor 40 much faster than Lady Deme. If we talk about these runners' playstyles, Lady Deme is much more safer player in that sense that she prefers to make sure that she can survive the tower, while Poulet is one of those players who is, let's say, a little bit riskier and hence faster. And in this case, the risks that Poulet took paid off, and he was able to go much faster. Let's see how it's gonna go in the second game. But yeah, that was quite a lead because it was double the floors. And the time that Poulet got, 41 minutes, that's nothing to laugh at. This is really good time, even if we just compare it to the leaderboard of any percent, which is not too much comparable because most of our players who are playing any percent are playing even riskier than that. And they're utilizing something called glitched entry, which makes it so that they enter the tower without the familiar. They pretty much don't fight at all, and they also die a lot. So if we take plus time 41 minutes, that would be number 9 on the leaderboard. And many of our players, to get this time, they had to play multiple games, tens or even hundreds of them. So getting this effortlessly in a tournament, that's quite an achievement.
It is. It is. This game is not one that is meant to be beaten in this type of play, like in a single entry. The tower has several different, essentially breakpoints where it expects you to realize that you're drastically underpowered and head back to town. You know, mess around on trying to collect some better items, build up the town a little bit, and then come back, you know, built up with your stronger familiars, your better items, and all of that stuff. It is definitely not meant to be a hey, I'm off to the tower for my first time, and first entry, you get the ultimate egg. It's not intended at all. Being able to get, honestly, especially if you're doing a glitched entry style run, getting even to floor 10 is fairly difficult. So being able to get to 40, uh, even if you do have a familiar, you start out at level 1, so it's really luck of the draw, which is kind of what makes it so appealing to run the game, because it's a nice mixture of RNG and skill-based um, gameplay with basically essentially infinite replayability.
Yeah, and the fact that we can do those kind of seeded towers where we can match two players against each other facing the same struggles. I really love this format. I really love watching the matches. So we didn't mention it earlier, but the fact that we do have seeded tower is all thanks to a certain member of our community called Programmer. He's done a de-randomizing randomizer, that's how we call it. Mostly we use it for the tournaments just to like seed the tower to make sure that both of the players have the same tower to play with. But there are also quite many options that the randomizer has, where you can randomize starting monster, you can randomize the monster in the tower, you can randomize the elements, you can introduce new items to the game that that originally were not there, or you can even unlock the thing that most probably, that's what we think, was planned in the game, but probably was scrapped due to some decisions, maybe some time constraints, etc. And what I'm talking about is a second tower, like we've seen here. This the tower that we normally play has 40 floors, but there is a quote-unquote second tower that is even harder than this one, much more randomized, and it has 99 floors. If you never played it, definitely you should check it out because it's quite much fun.
It's actually a bit different than the base tower. It's more than just 99 floors. There's some interesting monster combinations that you can only get in second tower. But more importantly, you don't know what item you're picking up until you use it or identify it somehow. Which brings a whole new level of interesting gameplay, if you want to call that, because it also adds the barong only items. So that herb that you pick up and you go to eat it to test it could put you to sleep, or it could paralyze you, or it could essentially do nothing. And you won't know until you throw it or use it or give it to your familiar. But yeah, the second tower is definitely an interesting thing. I don't think I've ever completed it even in a casual play, but it is an interesting climb to say the least. The some of the monster combinations that you can get in there are pretty brutal to say the least.
Yeah, there are like few interesting VODs from the second tower that you can find on in our community on the Discord. Could I ask Mr. Sen Knight in the chat right now so that he would post the link to our Discord if you're interested? We are a very friendly community. It's not just for the speedrunners. It's just for the it's also for the people who just love the game. For example, myself, I'm not really a speedrunner, but I do enjoy the game. So yeah, I'm there and I enjoy my time there.
Thank you, Sandai.
Thank you, Senai. Let's see. Do we have also? Yes. I also posted in the chat links to our runners if you wanna follow them. I'm quite sure that you might find some streams of this beautiful, amazing game on their Twitch. So what we have right now, basically we're starting the same with the same basic items, and the idea in the beginning is the same. We are trying to just find something that will help us conquer the higher floors of the tower. So previously it was quite generous. We still don't know what happened there. Blame Sand Knight. But yeah,
And finish. Go ahead.
yeah. But let's see. Right now, they may not be able to find a Scarlet one that will allow them to fight, and they will have to struggle much more. But we'll see that.
But we have found a mirror shield, which I don't think we found last time, which is an interesting shield. And as a casual play, like when I play casually, mirror shield is probably my go-to shield because of its ability to reflect monster spells sometimes. I don't know what the actual percent chance is, but it's pretty high. Those monsters that are particularly trigger happy, like clowns and griffins. Unfortunately, it does not work for glacier ice cubes, but for pretty much anything else, the mirror shield will usually have you covered. So,
And there is the first difference that we'll have in the tower. Poulet did find a go-up trap, but it didn't go off, and he was able to stay on floor 3 to explore. Lady Deme stepped on the go-up trap, and it did go off, pushing her up to floor 4. And what we see is that Poulet found Stream Wand and also a Sea Seed. So the thing that we discussed in the previous match about changing the element, it might happen in this game because Stream Wand is a water element wand, Cuny is fire, doesn't match. But if we change his genius to water, then it will. And most probably this is what's gonna happen around probably floor 10, 12, something like this.
yeah, if you're gonna do that, it's really a timing thing. You have to make sure that you're not swapping to something that's gonna give you a massive disadvantage right away. Like, it probably wouldn't be a good idea to swap to water element if you're on floor like 25 or so, because everything on that floor is wind. And it also comes down a bit to what level your familiar is, because your familiar, if it has a spell, because that is a thing with this tournament, we're not really seeing monsters as familiars that don't have a spell, but not all monsters have one. So if you do have one, whenever you swap your familiar's element, if the element doesn't match with whatever the spell should be, like Kuhn has Grid, which is naturally a fire spell. If we swap him to water, the spell will no longer level up. So it's something that you're going to want to consider before you start swapping elements. Is the swap going to be beneficial to you? Because if you're only level 2 or 3 in your spell, it's not going to really help you out as much as you might hope. But thankfully, the bridge spell with its mixture magic kind of maxes out around level 9 or 10. And it's fairly easy to get to that point around floor 10-ish, which is, right around the area where you would want to maybe consider swapping to water in the first place. So it kind of works out rather nice.
We've got a question from Diesel about traps. Can they force you to go to a lower level? I guess Uga already answered, but let us tell it here on the stream. So in the original game, in the vanilla game, no. The only trap that changes the floor is the one that pushes you to the higher floor, which for people who speedrun is technically beneficial. Unless you are on the low floors that you want to explore for items. But yeah, like Uga mentioned, randomizer has an option that can change a go up trap into a go down trap. And what would it do in case of seeded tower is that, yes, it would push you to a lower floor that you have been to already. So the layout would have been already exactly the same as you already have seen. And if you went to the next floor, it would also have been the same layout that have been there before. So this technically can be a strategy if let's say you found some really good items on floor 4 and you went to floor 5 and you found a go down trap, the moment it would push you to floor 4, all the items that were there originally will be there again. So you could sort of farm the items by constantly like pushing yourself down the floor. But not in this tournament. This tournament makes it so that the game is pretty much the same as the original game. Vanilla, like Revan mentioned.
And Poulet taking a bit of a gamble, I guess you could say, putting the stream wand on. And it might actually...
Ooh.
His Kyun looks like, unless he gets some brainwashes here, his Kyun's gonna
Oh
lose
yeah,
this fight.
Kyun is dying. Kyun's gonna die, so that stream wand is going to do absolutely. There you go.
Of course, one turn after he dies. That's typical of this game.
And now it's a game. So the fact that the benefit that Poulet had from finding a stream wand is now completely gone. He was in a good situation. Now it absolutely doesn't matter. He has to depend fully on the items that he finds and maybe the fact that monster will not follow him. So good spawns, good decisions, etc. But Revan, is there a way for Poulet to recover his familiar?
There technically is. There is an item called a restore scroll. It's pretty rare to find one. But what it does is any familiar that you have that is dead can be revived, and you can bring it back out and use them like normal. However, Poulet is of the opinion that if your familiar dies, then he's dead forever, and the restore scroll just doesn't exist. He's been known to leave them on the floor, pick them up and toss them out of frustration for it not being like a holy or malicious spell. He's not a restore scroll fan, so I doubt even if he does find one, he might do it just for like the memes or something. But generally speaking, if his familiar is dead, it's dead for the rest of the run.
Yeah. And like we mentioned earlier, not having a familiar is a thing on the leaderboard for any percent. Pretty much all the top runs are without the familiar, because when you don't fight, when you don't have a luxury of being able to fight, you just try to avoid the fight, and many times it's faster. So we will probably see right now that Poulet will speed up a bit. He was already quite fast, and now he will be even faster, as long as the tower allows him. On the other side, go ahead, Treven.
I was just gonna say that without having the familiar, like you said, you give up the luxury of being able to fight for the most part, especially once you get past like floor 4 or 5 or whatever. And even then, it's kind of pushing it depending on what items you ended up picking up. But so generally, that's gonna make you increase your speed because you're going to avoid all the encounters. You're going to try to manipulate things as best you can. But it also gives a bit of a disadvantage then, because you're going to be on higher floors at a drastically lower level. As it is, we're already climbing the tower essentially under leveled because we're doing it in one go, and it's not what the game was originally designed for. So you're really gonna have to try and pick and choose where you're gonna get levels, because you're definitely gonna need some without a familiar, but it's not exactly an easy task to get them. So you're gonna have to try and essentially pick your battles. If you have, say, every runner in a vanilla game will pick up the fireball with 5 charges, and if you can get to floor 15, 16, you can, assuming that you have at least a handful of levels, you can kill the Garudas there and get up several levels really quickly. You can do the same thing with pickets. You can end up blowing them up with a fireball or something that you picked up, and you can end up getting 2 or 3 levels for that one charge. And eventually, if you end up making it to like the 30s, you can do the same thing with golems. With those, you can end up getting 4, 5, 6, maybe even 8 levels, depending on how low of a level you were at the time. So we're gonna see, especially now with Poulet being familiarless, we're gonna see him try and conserve some of his better items for the more opportune moments. Like he could end up using his fireball to like kill a griffin or something here, but it won't be as beneficial to him as it would be on a Garuda or a Picket. Now, if it's something that he needs to do to survive, then yeah, obviously it would be pretty beneficial. But if it's just something that he's trying to get out of his way so he can go in a straight path instead of manipulating it or whatever, it might not be as beneficial to him as it wouldn't, you know, Deme wouldn't have to necessarily worry about that as much, having Kyun available to her.
One thing to point out is that Revan mentioned that like Poulet still needs levels, and yes, he does, but those levels are not needed so that he will be able to fight mostly. But those levels are so that he can get higher HP and a little bit higher defense, only so that he can take a hit and not die immediately. So yeah, he still needs those levels. Now he just have much harder way to get them.
Yeah. And Poulet did find an egg on 13, and this is why he's taking the time to hatch it. Normally, Poulet likely wouldn't hatch an egg, but in this circumstance, it can actually be a couple of really good things. You want to go into that a little bit, Chad?
Yeah, I can like mention a few things. So we were starting with CUNY as a familiar. And like we mentioned, it's quite good familiar, it's very versatile, it's powerful enough, etc. But of course, you can find other familiars. And it's just a dreaming.
It's just a dreaming.
So what Poulet was hoping for, because from floors 11 to 20, if I recall correctly, we can find a familiar that pretty much destroyed any percent leaderboard. And that familiar is called Garuda. Why Garuda is broken? Because it has an ability that teleports you to any other location on the map in the room at any point. So you are in a tough situation, there's like lots of monsters around you, you just teleport away. And with that, you can completely avoid all the fighting most of the time, right? So yeah.
This dreaming actually put it to sleep. We touched on this earlier when Deme used her Tumna fruit glitch, but Poulet could actually do the same thing with this dreaming because it is a liftable familiar. So his original frustration where he picked it up and tossed it, I guess hoping it would die to a griffin or something, wasn't necessarily the best thing to do, because that dreaming is still a resource, even if it is not necessarily a fighter or can back you up with mixture magic at this point, but it still has a potential use. I believe Poulet isn't really too worried with that though, because he the entire invincibility is pretty slow, and Poulet is definitely a go fast type of runner, so
pickup luck.
yeah, yeah, double pickup luck. He definitely would have felt a Garuda hit at level 7. And this is exactly what I was talking about earlier. Him being level 7, he can kill them in one hit, and he can get that quick level up. He's probably pretty close to a second level up off of that one kill as well. In fact, if he wouldn't have had his dreaming out, he probably would have got a second level off of that. Oh, and a picket.
Well, to mention a little bit about what is happening on Deme's stream, she actually did find a stream wand. I think it was on floor 7, if I remember right. The problem is that like earlier she found a wooden wand and she did equip it, and unfortunately it was cursed. And like in many 19th RPGs, the curse means that equipment cannot be unequipped. What she needs now, she needs to find the curse scroll that will allow her to remove the curse from the equipment itself, and she will be able to remove it and swap to potentially better stream wand, but she will still have a curse status that is sort of hidden, and that status makes it so that your luck goes down, and luck affects quite many things in this game. Mainly what we are interested in is that it affects your hit chance. So right now, until Deme removes that curse status, her hit chance will be a little bit lower compared to what she would normally have.
No, because I know the swords generally have a lower hit rate than wands do. Is she
Yes.
essentially wielding a sword now, or
No,
is it
she's
even
wielding
lower?
a wooden wand.
Well, yeah, I mean like hit chance wise though, with the curse
Yeah.
lowering it. Is it about the same as a sword now, or is it actually even lower than that?
To be honest, I don't know exactly the math, so it's hard for me to say. But yeah, the point is that Lady Deme does have the equipment that could carry her through the tower, at least in terms of like sheer combat. She just needs a little bit of luck to find the right item to be able to equip it. And what happened on Poulet's side is that like his dreaming that was surprisingly quite useful is now lost. He cannot command it anymore. Because I think it was used to move away from Manoiva, and yeah, it did survive, right?
Yeah, it actually survived. Yeah, it was blind there for a little when he went up the
Yeah.
floor there, and it actually managed to survive again. So
Yeah, so dreaming strats. It's sort of a meme in the community because dreaming is really not very exciting familiar. It doesn't have good attacks.
I
It
don't
doesn't have
think.
good HP. It's pretty much useless. But it does have an attack that we will see right now called hypnotism
Oh, and it
that
worked
has a
again.
potential to
Just a
put the
dreamin' is
monster
a
to
lie.
sleep.
This is way
Yeah.
more than just a dreamin'.
The problem is that this attack does cost a lot of MP. I think it's 8 or 4 MP. So Pule unfortunately cannot abuse this attack. Like we mentioned earlier, that Garuda has an abduct ability that can teleport you away from any bad situation, and that ability costs like half MP or 1 MP, very little compared to this attack that Dreaming has. But yeah, what we are
And
seeing right now is probably the first time, at least first time that I see, where just the Dreaming is being useful.
and Deme actually lost her Cune, so while the hunt for a decurse scroll would still be somewhat useful to her, that stream wand, unless she gets really lucky with a restore scroll, isn't going to be super useful to her anymore. On the plus side, though, now that she's also familiarless, her speed should probably pick up a little bit here.
Mm-hmm.
She has a decent inventory to work with.
Yeah, we didn't see restore scroll on Poulet's side being found on the floors, and both of the towers are supposed to be exactly the same. So most probably Lady Deme won't be able to find it this way. But like we touched it in the previous game, on floor 16 there is a chance to find a Barong. And Barong is a monster that can spit out any item, and that is completely random. That will not be the same with two runners, because there is a different RNG counter that checks it. So maybe she will go for that. Let's see. But now she finds an egg,
Yep,
and I'm
she
pretty
found
sure
the
that
tree.
she's excited now, hoping for a Garuda.
Yeah, we'll probably see her hatchet as well, and whether she uses it or not is, that's a completely different question entirely. But we'll probably see her take the time and try to hatch it though. If she gets the chance to. Hopefully it does the pillar here. Yeah, and it'll reflect it back.
Yes,
Yes, very
perfect.
nice.
Good job. And that's a benefit of that mirror shield. So it was definitely a right decision to equip it, especially for these floors, because Griffons are very, very trigger happy with that spell. We saw the elevator and the spin. This is something that we didn't touch yet. So when they spawn, technically they don't know anything about the floor because they only see the current room. But the whole floor starts spawning from the top left and rotates the camera into the location where you are. So during that spin, sometimes we are able to see a glimpse of a floor. And like in this case, we were able to see where the elevator is, and thanks to that, Lady Deme was able to like quickly go to the elevator. Floor 15 was also quick, and now she's on floor 16. Let's see whether she will be looking for a barong. We know that Poulet never found one.
Oh.
That's a
Oh,
second go-up trap for Lady Deme. That's a little bit unfortunate. I'm still not sure whether she would have gone for a barong, but knowing her playstyle a bit, I think she might have.
yeah, and I just noticed on Poulet's side, he actually renamed his dream into MVP, which it certainly is at this point.
And we can see Lady Deme hatching her dream in. So let's see how she's gonna like cope with it. Whether she's gonna also consider it MVP or whether she will just drop him immediately.
Honestly, with Deme's knowledge, even if she doesn't use it as a familiar, she will probably have in the back of her mind that she can do the tile of invincibility glitch with it. So we might actually see that a second time on her side, depending on what happens. That is one of the very interesting things about Deme. She doesn't exactly speedrun the game, at least not very commonly, but she does know all the ins and outs. She does a lot of commentary for this game, and she's learned a lot of the tricks from doing that. So she definitely has some tricks up her sleeve.
And yeah, on Poulet's side right now we can see another benefit of having a familiar. Regardless of what familiar it is, it can be a dream. Oops.
Oh yeah.
No matter what the familiar is, the thing is that you can, for example, bait monsters with it and sort of manipulate monsters' AI so that instead of attacking you, they will go after your familiar and you will be safe to walk away. So no matter what the familiar is, it's probably always better to have one. And that is not the only manipulation that they can do having a familiar. Like Revan mentioned, with a liftable one, they can do tile immunity glitch. And there are a few others that we'll probably talk about if it happens, so that they will use these manipulations. I didn't see, did Deme finish hatching that dreaming egg, or is it still in progress?
I'm not sure.
Oh yeah,
I would imagine she finished though.
We could see that like that annoying ability we mentioned earlier when the question was why pickets are the best. Yes, that picket tried to steal an item. Oh, and it did
An
right
ice
now.
rock
Ice
ball.
rock.
That sucks.
Unfortunately, that's a good item. Sometimes we're lucky enough that the picket steals like one of the items that we don't need anyways. But Ice Rock is not one of those that you don't need anyways. Ice Rock is the one that you do want. And I think Lady Deme was hoping that the picket that she saw right now was the one that stole an item, because the mechanic works this way.
There it is.
There it is. That when the picket steals an item or attempts to steal an item, it teleports away to a random location. And you don't know which picket it is. The moment it has an item in its inventory, it will not attack you anymore. It will run away from you. But you don't know that until the picket comes close to you. So in this case, we could see that like the picket came to Lady Deme and like immediately went away. Lady Deme knew that this was the picket that stole her item, so she decided to use her spell ball to kill it and restore the definitely useful Ice Rock.
Yeah, the ice rock is super useful. It might be a bit slow, especially if there's more than one monster attacking it, but it's... Oh, and a restore scroll. Are we gonna see
There we go.
come back? Are we gonna see
I
Q?
think we do. She did catch the dreaming. We could see that the dreaming was there.
Well, she does have Kuhn back. He's gonna be a bit under-leveled, so I'm not sure how useful it's gonna be, other than maybe a meat shield or something at this point. Unless she can use her spell balls or something to get it a few quick level ups off the pickets that are still on these floors. We probably won't see too much use out of Kuhn. She could have actually dropped the item and had the Maniva transform.
I think this is what she's trying to do. Or maybe she will just juke that Manoiva. This is something that we didn't mention. Lady Deme has done it before. And there you go, juking Manoiva.
Yeah,
Can you even tell us how does it work?
Manivas are essentially blind. Are we gonna see Poulet actually do the same thing here? Oh, nope, his Holy Scrolled one actually ruined it. But normal monsters have a wider vision where they'll aggro onto you. And I assume it's because of the Minerva's ability to transform into items and set traps for you, that it can only really see one tile in either direction of it. So if you get a hallway like this where you have a nice corner, the Minerva will actually just casually...
Oh, okay, yeah. Sorry, my bad. I thought for a while that
You had me worried there for a second.
I forgot about one thing. Yeah, so Poulet basically used another quite clever strategy called poison strategy, and I somehow was feeling that like it will also poison his familiar. But okay, that Dreamin is really like doing such a great job tanking hits, putting monster to sleep. It is really MVP.
Yeah, this Dreamin is definitely doing work for Poulet, that's for sure.
Another poison ball, and he doesn't pick it up. He doesn't care. And Poulet is already on floor 30. Now that Dreaming won't be like so nice anymore, because most of the monsters on the previous floors were water, so that Dreaming could have taken a little bit less damage. But that green thingy with two huge cleavers instead of arms, that's a fire monster, and a very powerful one. I'm quite sure that the moment it would have a close encounter with the Dreaming, it would be over for the Dreaming. So yeah, Poulet cannot be so so careless with this monster anymore. Every step has to be now perfect. Otherwise, our MVP will die.
The only thing that Dreaming might be able to survive a hit from anymore is a Glacier. At this low of a level, on these floors, it's pretty much a guaranteed one shot from, well, maybe a Tyrant if it's at full hit points. I'm not sure how many HP
no.
has.
The Tyrant would kill it. No question asked. Like it has an elemental advantage, so it would have been it for the Dreaming. Hypnotism.
Are we gonna get another clutch sleep?
Yeah, there we go. And okay, let's see what's gonna happen now. I think that's it for the. Oh wait.
Yeah, the poor guy's out of MP. Anyway.
Unfortunately, the MVP is done for. But it has done its job. We are on floor 33 now. Poulet has 7 floors to go. While it seems that Lady Deme has found not only the curse scroll, but she also has found a cure-all herb. So she was able to.
She is set now.
She is set. She found all the items that we were discussing earlier about that she needs, and now her familiar is water. She's got a matching elemental wand, and she doesn't have a curse status anymore. She's set to go very, very high. Unfortunately for her, she doesn't know that, but Poulet is already on floor 34. But he is without the familiar, so let's see whether he can finish the tower with that.
He does have 2 eggs. He's likely not going to hatch either of these. They're probably going to end up as bombs in a sticky situation.
Let's see what Lady Deme will do here. Unfortunately,
no, the Qun gone again.
Yeah, that Qun, unfortunately, I think it didn't recover enough HP from the moment it was restored, and that Viper is quite a tough monster. So
yeah, the Vipers are particularly strong. Her Qun was actually water element, and it still got hit for almost 40 damage. And then if that's not bad enough, if you survive that hit from them, they actually have a chance to weaken your attack power permanently.
We've got a question in the chat. Do people speed race games like Diablo? If Azure Dreams is anything like Diablo, then yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to say for sure on that, but I would imagine so.
Yeah, why not? I think anything can be speedrun, right? We are around the half time of the game, and Poulet is already on floor 37. Lady Deme is on floor 22. That is still very good pace. For Poulet, the pace is crazy. If he finishes this tower, it might look like 35 minutes, which is really great time for for tournament settings.
I mean, that's a pretty great any percent time in general.
Oh, yeah,
let alone a tournament setting. Oh, and walked right into the
35 minutes.
Viper
That
there.
would be number 4. It would be actually a little bit above what Revan you have.
Yeah, it would push
You
me
are
down
number
by a
4.
little bit. Yeah.
35-41. So let's see what Poulet will do.
And that ice rock ball coming in for Deme. Good thing she got that back from the picket that stole it.
Yep.
Oh, and that's it.
Oh,
That's
Lady
it.
Deme goes down. But I think we'll let Poulet finish this tower.
Yeah, at
There
this
is
point, we might as well just
one
let
more
him
floor.
finish.
And there it goes. Second game also for Poulet, and that's a match. I guess Revenue will check with our runners whether they want to do friendly third.
Yeah, I'm on it.
Yeah, it was really good game. Lady Deme was already set with her equipment on that floor 21. Unfortunately, she had this close encounter with a Viper while she was holding a CUNY, and unfortunately that is a little bit bad situation, because when you're holding a CUNY, you cannot do anything else, like for example try to pick up another monster, in this case a Viper, or throw the CUNY away, or it's your movement or your actions are limited when you are holding a familiar. So that was unfortunate on her side. But yeah, for Poulet, that was another crazy run, and the time was like below 34 minutes, and that is a definitely place 4 that would have dropped Revan from his place in the leaderboard. To be third place in the leaderboard, unfortunately the times are getting a little bit ridiculous, even though the time that Poulet got is already ridiculous. You have to have 30 minutes 58 seconds. So yeah, that's a tournament setting where you're supposed to like be a little bit riskier.
Okay, so we are not going to see a third match for this we're not going to see a third round for this match, excuse me. Lady Deme is actually commentating the next match, so we're going to have
Hello,
them
Lady
for an
Deme.
interview.
Hello, Poulet.
Yes,
GG.
hello both of you. GG's
Great
to both of you.
games. Lady Deme, tell us what is on your mind.
Number 1, that Dreamin'.
Oh yeah, Poulet, would you like to tell us about that Dreamin'?
Lady Deme, you
Oh, I
have
love
to
it.
My
rewatch.
Dreamin'.
You have to rewatch the VOD. Poulet's Dreamin' was the MVP.
Oh yeah, I named him MVP actually because he was so
Oh,
good,
nice.
man.
Yeah, so
I actually meant that time I was blinded and then put to sleep, and everything was in
yeah.
that room. Everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
You managed to get out of there pretty well, though.
I managed to get out of
it.
it. Good for me.
yeah,
I am impressed that I managed to get out of it, because that was a wild run.
So tell us both. These were Sand Knight seats, right?
Yep.
Like, don't you feel that they were a little bit too generous, maybe?
Yes,
Yeah,
they were
but
really generous.
But on the other hand, it does mean that, like, Poulet was able to make it to 40, which makes me feel much better about that first round, because, like, if your opponent gets to 40, it's not that you lost, it's that they won, right?
Yeah.
Nothing
enough,
you could have done except just, like, be better, but, like, can't really blame yourself much for that.
And it's not just that like Poulet got to the top. His times are ridiculous. Like Poulet, seriously, what's wrong with you? Why are you so fast? This is a tournament. You're supposed to be safer and slower.
No, it's a tournament. You're supposed to go all weapons out. But yeah, the second seed when I lost CUNY, I think on floor 7 or 8.
Hey, say that! Except I think I lost him much later, like 9, 10-ish.
Much later.
Something
yeah.
like that. Not much later, but like a little bit later. Run back for about 5 seconds. Can dive in a noble cause.
Yeah, that Viper made some quick work of him, unfortunately. And it was really unfortunate because we were talking about how you would put on the cursed wooden wand and you had actually found every single item that you needed to be uncursed, put the stream wand on, you found the sea seed, he was water, and then unfortunately the Viper put him down again and you didn't really get much use out of him.
So
did not even get, I think, a single fight, but yeah, that's all right.
But one thing that I want to ask about you, Lady Deme, is go-up traps, because I think they were like sort of more annoying than beneficial to you. First of all, floor 3, and then we were thinking, okay, floor 16, she might want to go for the barong because that's a chance to find the restore scroll. Boom, first step, another go-up trap.
Yep. That was like really more annoying than helpful.
Poulet never found that restore scroll that you did, so he never recovered his CUNY. But yeah, for him, again, dreaming. It's not just a dreaming anymore, it's an MVP.
Yeah, I'm glad I found my new love, dreaming.
Did you manage did you find the blue collar? Or was it like literally just the out of the box dreaming?
Oh, it's an out of the box dreaming.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
He originally, when he first hatched it, he actually tossed it, I assume, hoping it would die, and it survived.
Yeah, exactly. And then I realized, well, if you're alive, you might as well follow me, I guess.
So,
warm body.
So Poulet, is it so that now you got some new respect for the dreaming, and when you find the dreaming egg, you will immediately hatch it and like replace whatever familiar you're using?
I think he was one of a kind. And I don't mean to be disrespectful to all the dreamings out there, but I don't think they can, equal what he just did. He took aggro several times, he put monsters to sleep, he tanked for me. He was a good boy.
I was really surprised that it was tanking the hits. Like, I can understand that you were like rolling the dice with those hypnosis thingies, but it was taking the hit to the face and surviving until it met the killer, obviously, but still.
Yeah, well. Yeah, I think the fact that his genius was wind helped a lot.
Yeah. Sen Knight is saying that your dreaming was like Ash Pikachu, the only good.
Yeah. Fair enough, yes.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. So, any further questions from you, Revan?
I can't think of any.
Any closing words from you, Deme and Poulet?
Nah. I'm sure. Not a good match. That was a good match. I had fun. I think I did fairly well, all things considered.
Oh yeah, for sure. You both did great. It was fantastic. It was a nice watch.
Like you said, Lady Deme, it's not that like you lost. It's more like Poulet won because he was so crazy fast. And for all those in the chat who know Poulet's record, he's doing it every single time. So we don't know what to do about him. He's just too good dominating the games. But yeah, this time, like, congrats to Poulet in this match. Lady Deme, GG. It was really beautiful gameplay.
Thank you.
Nothing to be ashamed of. So what do we have more? This was round 2. Lady Deme is going to losers bracket. She is not out of the tournament yet. Let me quickly check who will she be playing against. She will be playing against Wuga in that match. Poulet advances to the semifinals, and he will be playing against the winner of the match that we will have in 1.5 hours, Shoni versus Septic.
I'll be there on commentary.
Exactly.
So that'll be fun. You should check in.
Definitely hype match. So yeah, we are hoping to see you there. We would like to thank you, SpeedGaming, for hosting the tournament. Working with you is amazing. Thank you for that, and big thanks to the chat for hyping the game and joining us in watching whatever the tower throws at us. So again, big thanks to everyone, and hopefully see you in an hour and a half.
And thank you for the commentary as well.
Yeah, thank you, Beth.
For sure. Thanks for running for us.
Bye bye.
Okay. Bye.
All right.
Bye,
Have a
everyone.
blessed evening.